Hello, and welcome to episode 128 of the Quiet and Strong podcast, especially for introverts. I'm your host, David Hall, and the creator of quietandstrong.com. This is a weekly podcast dedicated to understanding the strengths and needs of introverts. Introversion is not something to fix, but to be embraced. Normally, we'll air each episode on a Monday. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite platform. Leave a review. That would mean a lot to me. Tell a friend about the podcast. Help get the word out there that introversion is a beautiful thing. So just the other day, someone I knew well and knows about my podcast was telling me about someone that was an introvert, but also an extrovert because they like people. I hear this myth so often. It's one of the biggest myths about introverts that we don't like people. So most every introvert likes people. Liking people doesn't make you an extrovert. And we've talked about this so many times on the show. The Quiet and Strong podcast, it's all about the strengths of introverts, strategies for success, and we bust a lot of myths and misunderstandings about introversion. And I ask just about every guest what introvert myth they want to bust. And there are so many. So back in episode 39, we reviewed 10 of the common myths out there when it comes to introverts and introversion. So let's review those briefly, and then we're going to add 10 more. First, what's the difference? What do all introverts have in common? Introverts naturally focus on their inner world of ideas, where extroverts spend more time naturally focusing on the outer world around them. Of course, everyone thinks, everyone pays attention to what's going on around them, but the amount of time spent paying attention internally or externally varies from introvert to extrovert. In fact, the amount of time spent on inward focus even varies quite a bit from introvert to introvert. And all of this is not good or bad. It's not good or bad to be an introvert or extrovert, but it's important to understand the gifts and needs that come to us each very naturally. So let's look at the 10 that we covered last time. I'll just go really briefly over them. Of course, you can go back to episode 39 if you want to go more in depth. But the first one was there are more introverts than extroverts. And man, it's estimated that 50% of the population are introverts. So we're not all alike. And that's the next myth. All introverts are alike. Our personalities are multifaceted. Sometimes there's widely sweeping statements like, all introverts prefer quiet environments. In my case, sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't. I do need time to think, but I don't always need quieter environments. The next one is introversion means shyness. And of course, that's not the case. This is another big one, in addition to introverts don't like people. An introvert can be shy, but an extrovert can be shy as well. It's really a matter of confidence. Introverts and extroverts can gain confidence when it's lacking. And it may be for the shy introvert, an understanding of introversion can make a world of difference in overcoming shyness. Okay, and we started out with this one. Introverts don't like people. We all need connection. Introverts may need and want deeper connections and perhaps a tighter circle of friends, but we need connection with others. And that leads to the next one. Introverts just want to be left alone. Well, yeah, sometimes, yes, sometimes we do need alone time, but we also need and want to spend time with friends and family or even making new friends. Another one, introverts have nothing to say. And introverts have plenty to say because we're always thinking. We think and then we speak and we share what we think is most important instead of sharing everything. Introverts prefer deeper conversations to small talk. And sometimes an introvert that lacks confidence or an understanding of their personality may feel like they don't have a voice. And that's a big part of the Quiet and Strong podcast is to help others that lack confidence gain confidence and a voice for those great ideas that you have that need to be shared. And another big myth, introverts can't be good at certain things, fill in the blank, like great leaders or great public speakers. Introverts can be amazing leaders or public speakers or anything they set their mind and natural talents to. The key to success is to approach life in your own introverted way with your gifts and your strengths. Okay, and the main difference between introverts and extroverts is how they get their energy or recharge. So, what makes this a myth for me is it's a word change, but a significant one. Instead of saying the main difference, I say it's a big difference. I say the big difference is that we naturally spend more time in our inner world of ideas. Because of that, we do need time to recharge, but we also need time alone to think, to plan, to focus. So the big difference is we're deep thinkers. And of course, we need to recharge, but it's not the only difference. All right. The next one we covered on last episode, introverts don't like to have fun. Everybody likes to have fun. Sometimes the difference is you know what you think is fun and what you don't. And you don't need someone else to decide this for you. And you might like some things that other people don't like, and that's normal. You get to decide what you think is fun. And then the last one that we covered on the previous episode was introverts are good listeners. And of course, introverts can be amazing listeners. But what I'm saying in this myth is that not talking doesn't necessarily equal listening. The conversation needs to go both ways. I don't want to be perceived as a good listener just because the other people are doing all the talking and not pausing to listen. This just happened the other day. I was at a group of friends at lunch, and one person was just talking nonstop. And, honestly, this isn't fun. I like great conversation, but it needs to go both ways. So it is a gift that we can be amazing listeners, but the conversation needs to go both ways. And honestly, if it's not, the introvert may tune out and it doesn't mean they're listening, but they can be great listeners. So that's a brief recap of episode 39. Let's add 10 more. Introverts want to be extroverts. So introverts don't all aspire to become extroverts. Hopefully, as an introvert, you're embracing your introverted nature and appreciating the unique qualities and strengths that come with it. Of course, some people want to be or need to be different in some way, but find in valuing their authenticity and being true to themselves, they can have the success and happiness they are seeking. I've come to appreciate my introversion, and I have changed in fundamental ways by embracing who I am and not trying to be an extrovert or something that I'm not. Hopefully, you've done the same, or at least you've started this journey of learning who you are and embracing your gifts and being your best in your strengths. Okay, number two for today, introverts are unfriendly or aloof. So there can be a lot of misunderstanding around this. What is going on in our heads doesn't always match what's showing on our face. We may be lost in thought, or we may not want to work the room with ease. I've definitely been misunderstood as conceited or stuck up by people, misreading me. And of course, nothing's further from the truth. Some introverts may take time to warm up in social situations, but that doesn't mean they're unfriendly or aloof. Once they feel comfortable, they can be warm, engaging, attentive listeners. And their reserved nature may be simply a reflection of their need for internal processing. Number three, introverts don't enjoy public speaking. We talked in the previous episode how introverts can be amazing public speakers. We have had several guest episodes devoted to this topic. Again, the approach to public speaking could be and is usually different for introverts than extroverts. With preparation and a clear purpose, introverts can deliver powerful and impactful presentations. Often, introverts bring thoughtfulness and well researched thoughts to their speeches. So, in addition to being amazing, it also may be a lot of fun for introverts. I am having a great time doing this podcast. Again, we have a lot to say. Number four, introverts are passive and submissive. So, introverts aren't all passive and submissive individuals. Some may be, some may not be. They may take a more thoughtful and measured approach when it comes to expressing their opinions or taking action, and their introspective nature can actually lead to deeper understanding of situations and strategic decision making. Taking the time to think is a gift and doesn't mean you're passive or submissive. I know some very powerful and even aggressive introverts. Number five, Introverts need fixing or changing. Introversion is not a flaw that needs fixing. It's a natural personality trait that is a valuable part of human diversity. Introverts thrive and are successful in their own unique ways and socially benefit from appreciating and embracing their contributions. I've learned that my introversion can't be fixed, but more importantly, it doesn't need fixing. So for me, taking personality assessments like the Myers-Briggs or the Clifton Strengths were key in helping me see that my gifts were natural and amazing, and I couldn't change them if I wanted to. For example, I'm a very analytical person who's always thinking, and this leads to some great and innovative solutions. I've always been analytical and always will be. So not everyone has this gift, but people have gifts that I don't possess. Someone might more quickly connect with many other people in an instant, where this happens for me at a slower pace. We all have gifts, and we need to understand and embrace those gifts and not try to fix them. Number six, sometimes I hear introverts don't like attention. What do you think about this one? I hear that introverts don't like to be the center of attention or the life of the party. Is that true for you? Is it always true for you? Sometimes you might feel like being the life of the party, and this may depend on the people you're with and many other factors. Some introverts may not seek attention in the same way extroverts do, but it doesn't mean they dislike all forms of attention. I think we all like to be recognized for our accomplishments, but we may prefer recognition in different ways. How do you like to be recognized? And this isn't going to be the same for introverts in general. We are going to differ widely on that one. Number seven, introverts are socially awkward. Social awkwardness is not exclusive to introverts, of course. Awkwardness can be found in individuals across all introverts and extroverts. While introverts may feel more drained by certain social interactions, it doesn't mean they're inherently social awkward. If you are lacking in social skills, you can learn these. You can increase your comfort levels of various situations, regardless of introversion or extroversion. You can overcome awkwardness. But keep in mind, even if you have overcome awkwardness, you no longer feel like an awkward person, you will still have the occasional awkward moment. Everybody does. Number eight, introverts are not good at teamwork. Introverts can be valuable members of a team and contribute effectively. We need diverse teams of introverts and extroverts. Introverts may bring thoughtful insights, consider multiple perspectives, and provide a calm and steady presence. Introverts can collaborate well when given space for individual work and when the team environment allows for respectful communication. Introverts can be valuable team members who contribute in meaningful ways. They excel at tasks that require focused attention, analysis, and independent work. They may prefer collaborating in smaller groups or engaging in structured team activity rather than constant group interactions. The trick is to balance the individual and group contributions. Number nine, introverts are always deep in thought and need time to process. While introverts tend to process information internally and reflect deeply, it doesn't mean they're constantly engaged in profound thoughts. As an introvert, sometimes you'll need time to think about something, and sometimes you don't. Often, with areas that you're very familiar with, you may not need to think before speaking as you're having a conversation. I joke that I could talk all day about introversion because I have given this topic a lot of thought. Of course, when you need time to think, don't be embarrassed, but simply say, give me time to think about that. And then take that moment or longer, or maybe sometimes I'll get back to you tomorrow to come up with something brilliant. Number 10, introverts are anxious in social situations. So, not all introverts experience social anxiety. Introversion and social anxiety disorder are separate concepts. Introverts can have varying levels of comfort in different social contexts, and extroverts can have social anxiety as well. We've had a couple episodes devoted to managing or even overcoming social anxiety. Some anxiety could be the cause by not understanding your introversion. For example, if you don't understand that it's very normal for you to think and then speak, you could think that something was wrong with you. And if others are talking very quickly as normal for them, that may cause you some anxiety. And of course, there's much more to this. There could be many causes. There's a lot of great books out there, a lot of great resources. And if you or someone you know needs additional help with social anxiety or experiencing a mental health crisis, talk to a trusted friend or relative or reach out to a professional. So we reviewed a previous 10 myths and then we added 10 more myths about introversion. And there's still many more misconceptions that we will continue to dispel on this podcast. I'll continue to ask guests on the podcast for their valuable perspectives. Which one today do you want someone else to understand about you or other introverts? Or is there one we didn't mention? Did any of the myths today surprise you? It's important to remember that introversion is a continuum, and individuals can vary in their preferences and behaviors. Myths overlook the diversity and complexity of introverted personalities. It's important to challenge these myths and recognize the strengths and qualities that introverts bring to various aspects of life, including relationships, work environments, and personal growth. Introversion is a beautiful thing, and it comes to us quite naturally. Embrace it. Use your strengths, honor your needs, and help me bust the many myths out there. There are many struggles identified in this episode that can be overcome with understanding. Listen to past and future episodes of this podcast for strategies to embrace introversion and find success. Be proud of who you are and the gifts you have to offer the world. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you take the time to explore other episodes and learn from our amazing guests. Remember, if you're interested in getting to know yourself better, there's now a free Type Finder personality assessment on the Quiet and Strong website. This free assessment will give you a brief report, including the 4-letter Myers-Briggs code. I'll add a link to the show notes. And I'd love to connect with you. Reach out at david@quietandstrong.com or check out the quietandstrong.com website, which includes blog posts, links to social media for Quiet and Strong, and much more. Send me topics or guests you'd like to see on the show and get to know your introverted strengths and needs and be strong.